Hi, everyone. This is Jolene Beaton, your resident date coach with It's Just Lunch, an elite private search. I am interviewing today a wonderful woman named Heather Carter. She is a relationship and healing coach. And I'm excited because I found her through social media, and a lot of her posts were resonating with me deeply. And she has such a strong voice. Um, and there were a couple posts that she had done in relationship to blended families. And I thought, wow, I have so many women and men that are trying to build a relationship after divorce or after the loss of a spouse, chapter two, that I thought, let's really open up the conversation about, should you date when you have kids? And if you are already dating with kids, what does that look like in the future? So welcome, Heather. Thank you so much for taking this interview.
Thank you for having me. I'm actually really excited to be here today.
Would you tell everyone your scope of work is so expansive. Will you just kind of dive into it a little bit, even beyond, what we're going to talk about today?
Sure. So I coach couples and individuals. And a lot of the individuals that I'm coaching, Jillian, come to me because they are in a relationship that's not working and they don't understand why, or they've gone from one toxic relationship to the next. And also there's the ones that just come to me for healing from their childhood trauma. But when I'm working with the couples and people, anyone, actually, no matter what they come to me for, we dive into why they're reacting the way they're reacting, why they're making the choices they're making, and not just in relationships to romantic, love relationships, but even relationships at work with their family. Why are we doing the things we're doing? Why are we attracted to who we're attracted to? And for a couple that's married that comes to me, we are trying to figure out how we're going to make this work. Is it possible to work? And where is all of these, the power struggle coming from? And what I have found 100% of the time, not 90, not 99, not even, 99.9, 100% of the time, our family of origin is battling our partner's family of origin. Okay, so what does that mean? That means that whatever emotional baggage we have, okay, you can call it trauma, whatever you want, because trauma is such a big word. People think trauma is an event. I was physically abused. I was sexually abused. I was this, or it was a car accident or something. No, trauma is just a series of events, and sometimes, yes, one event where the trauma was too big for us to wrap our minds around. So it's emotional trauma that we just suppress down, and especially when we're children, we keep, these things keep happening to us and we don't know how to process it. So it turns into emotional trauma. And that trauma, so just because you're, going through your childhood, you start believing these things about yourself from your emotionally detached mother, your father that abandoned you, or being bullied at school, whatever it is. You don't hit 22 and you graduate from college and all of a sudden, woo, I'm an adult. It's over. I can make healthy decisions. I can act rationally in relationships. I'm not going to be the toxic one. And so I get all of the baggage from people that they haven't dealt with, that they have brought into their relationship. And that is sucking the relationship dry. And it's never about one person, ever. The only time it's really hard is even if I get a couple that one person is the narcissist, okay? And I get plenty of those. The narcissist found the codependent, right? Because the codependent is the only one that can deal with the narcissist and doesn't say stop. and because why they have trauma that they haven't dealt with, and the and it always leads back to this family of origin and to the baggage. And so once we can get through why we're reacting the way we are, why we're doing the things in the relationship that we do, then I can go about solving the issues, but not until.
Not until.
And not until. And
Yeah.
so that's what I do. And then when it comes to individuals that are not married, or they've literally gone from one toxic relationship to the next, and they finally say, enough. I am not going to go find Mr. or Mrs. Wrong again. Heather, please help me. Then what we do, that's when we then go back, dig through, why are we finding these toxic people? Why do we keep going from one relationship to the other that doesn't work? And we fix it. So that's what I
love that. I think it's so important, you know, a lot of clients that come to our company, right? There's almost two camps. There's a group of, right, I'm done. I've done the work. I've went through therapy, or I've educated myself. You know, I've sought out, you know, trying to heal some of these childhood wounds and all of this. And then they come and they say, okay, I'm ready, you know, and then you have the other camp that's like, I don't know what I don't know. And so it's like some people come to us healed, I say, and ready to date, and others come to us and the dating process is kind of healing for them. And we don't judge where someone's at on their journey. You know, we believe there's a lid for every pot. So we support, if you come and you're willing to be vulnerable and start meeting singles, and you've decided, hey, coupledom is the life for me. I want to be in love. I want the fairy tale or whatever. That's fine. We're like, how do we support you in that? And so one of the things that stuck out to me, that's why, you know, this is so important, this information, this perspective, so that people can really see where someone's at, and if it's aligned, and have some tools to build happy, healthy, high functioning in a way that is like you talked about, right? What's their stuff and what's my stuff, and how does it work?
Yes.
And blending is not always the answer.
No.
We talked about. So that brings me to one of my questions. Okay, so people often want to match up with others. This isn't everyone, but often they want to match up with others that are in the same stage in life. But what I find is, when you're busy rearing children and building careers and healing from, you know, divorce or loss, or, you know, what have you, a lot of people don't have the emotional capacity to really build something new. And so, you know, I really want to know your take on blended families. If you would share a couple of your stories. I know you have personal connection with blending, and then hopefully that'll kind of segue us into, you know, some pitfalls to watch out for.
Okay, so blending families adds an element of making a relationship so much more difficult than you can imagine. Okay, I do not want to be here. I don't want to be the doomsday person here, right? But reality, being realistic, is half the battle to being successful in dating or a relationship. Okay, see, we go into dating other people and marriage thinking it's supposed to be one way, and then it's another way. And when it's the other way, we go, wait a minute, I didn't sign up for this. Okay, so when you're dating somebody with children, you've got to really be ready. You have to have a realistic view. You can't be living in la la land, because when you move in, if it goes there with somebody and their children, what you think is going to happen is 100% not going to happen. Okay, it's zero chance of that. Okay, zero. So you need to be realistic about the way it is. And there's so many aspects to this, to what we're talking about. And, you know, what are the expectations? What should I expect? Should I do it? You know, is it even worth it? Well, so if you're divorced and you have children, Are you supposed to wait to date until, they're grown and gone? No, that's unrealistic. But what is realistic is knowing that if you choose to date somebody with children, it is going to be very hard. Is it worth it? Yes, it can be 100% worth it. But also, there's so many things that happen from, Jolene had asked me earlier when we were talking about, well, what if the children are younger? So like, let's say the children are 2, 3, which kind of infers, well, wouldn't it be easier because they're not teenagers or something? And sure, in the beginning, it's going to be easier because they're so cute and they're lovely little babies, and you want to eat them up, and you go to the zoo and you have fun. But those babies, those toddlers grow up to be adolescents. They grow up to be teenagers that say no, that maybe disregard, disrespect. They're going, part of growing up is learning how to be me. Before I am a we, meaning my mother, father, those are my attachments. I'm learning that I am safe in this world. But eventually, to evolve, we have to break away from our parents, right? And believe it or not, it starts way earlier than you anticipate. 6, 7, 8 years old, you're starting to try to have control over your own life. Well, when that happens, children naturally push boundaries. So if you're a step parent living in the house and it's not your child, and the natural transition, again, let me say it again, the natural transition of pushing boundaries, of figuring out where you end, the parent ends, and I begin, is normal. So Jolene, let me back up here for a second. If they don't have that natural tradition, so let's say the child doesn't understand where my mom or dad ends and I begin, what happens? We become enmeshed. What happens when you become enmeshed? You don't know. There is no I ever. There's only a we. Who grows up to be we's? Codependents. You become a codependent. So if that child is not allowed to nurture their individuality, their uniqueness, their voice in a respectable way, you're in trouble. Now, when you have a step parent in the home, that child isn't their child, and they think you should parent one way and you parent this way, or they want to stifle the individuality, they want to, there's all of these things that come up, your relationship suffers. And it always happens because here's the thing, they're not the parent. And you as a mature adult, you even start to take offense to it. Wait a minute. It starts to become personal. Are you saying that I'm not parenting my child right? And then if you listen to them, okay, fine, I'll ground them. Okay, you're right. My child shouldn't do this. Okay, right, you're right. Then you become conflicted. Am I being fair to my child? Am I not? Is this person, and believe it or not, guess what happens? You've got a lot of unhealthy people out there that go become a step parent that get jealous of your child.
Right.
Now you're in big trouble. Now the child, do you know how many kids, women, men I work with in their 30s, 40s, 50s, late 20s that come from blended families, and their biggest thing is the step parent because their parents continuously chose the step parent over them. I'm working with a 21, a 22, and a 23-year-old right now that came from living hell blended families. And I'm not talking physical abuse or anything. I'm talking feeling unloved, unwanted, unneeded. And they're not wrong to feel that way. But I have to say, okay, well, you're an adult now. We've got to correct this. Point is it makes it harder on you, the relationship, and the children.
Such a hard reality, right? It's such
Yeah.
a hard reality. Coming from divorce, I know that you've been divorced, I've been divorced, and in the dating world, and repartnered up. And when you come to finding a new relationship, you are all excited. You're like, of course this is going to work. Like, I'm amazing. They're amazing.
Right.
You really can't. It's very hard to look at yourself and say, am I really doing right by these kids? Right.
And sorry, Jolene, but yes, let's also look at it this. And in the beginning, when you're dating somebody with children, what do you see? When you're dating this person, their children are normally most likely with their dad or their mother. On the weekend, you see them. You come into their home. Oh, beautiful. So clean. Let me cook you dinner. when in reality, the house is a disaster. It's chaos because you're a single parent. You're hoping to get macaroni and cheese and pizza out, let alone you're not going to be cooking gourmet dinners with, with candlelight. Everything is an illusion in the beginning of when it is anyways in the dating world without children.
Right.
Add that in, you're not seeing reality. See, I explained earlier to you, Jolene, we're in the romantic stage. What is the romantic stage? Say, oh, I love you. I can't live without you. How did I ever do this? You're amazing. And we literally have oxytocin running through our blood. We've got these good feeling hormones. The endorphins kick in, all of this stuff. But you're seeing a setting that isn't reality. And especially with the blended family, the kids, you're not seeing the full picture. And I'm not saying it can't work. It can, but you have to be realistic about it. So what every relationship comes to, there's not a relationship that doesn't hit this. And you have to know this is you're going to come to the power struggle. And the power struggle says, I'm not happy with the way you're doing things. You know what? I've been really good for long enough. I've been giving and giving. You've seen the best side of me. And now, you're not really feeling your end of the bargain. And I'm really not happy with the way you spend money. I don't like the fact that you don't pick up your underwear or you don't, put this toilet seat down. You know what? I'm really now imagine those things happening. There's 20 different things that most couples fight about. Obviously sex is one of them. Money is a big one. There's lots of little ones and kids. It's hard enough fighting about children, how to raise children with your own partner, your own spouse, two biological people together, let alone one step parent and you. You're going to parent differently. Now, let's say your spouse parents differently than you. Okay. The biological spouse. It's still hard. I still get people that have that problem. Now, if you have a person coming in that isn't the biological father or mother, it's the amount of discord it causes, the amount of anxiety is humongous, especially for the parent that is the biological parent of the child or children. Why? They start feeling guilty. I want my relationship to work. I love him or her, but these are my kids. Okay, fine. I'm going to ground him. I'm going to do what you say. But then you start feeling, would I actually do this? Is this, punishment proportionate to what they did? Or is this person, and it just goes round and round. And so a personal story is I have been with my partner for 17 years. We have 5 children between the two of us, right? But was it now? Let's see, Jax is 24. So 8 years ago, I realized, Jax was my harder one, my middle child. He was, and not even hard in some bad way, but, leaving the dishes in the sink. His room was messy, all of these other things that my other 2 didn't do and that Mark's girls didn't do. So anyways, finally, after I got another text, Jax left the dishes in the sink. I said, I will be back in 2 hours and I will talk to you in 2 hours. And I had already been thinking about this, that there is no way I am going to have this relationship ruin my time with Jax that I have left. I'm not going to do this. I birthed my children. I love Mark, but I'm willing to move on and be the mother that my children need and deserve. And by the way, Jolene, I say this I have 3 extremely successful grown children. Okay. Jax, guess what? Did not have this shitty life because he left some dishes in the sink. Okay. He's a 2019 graduate of UCLA, works for Oracle. My daughter is a 2015 graduate of UCLA. She just got her master's at Columbia University, an Ivy League school. My youngest got a full football ride scholarship to the Air Force Academy, United States Air Force Academy, was offered at UCL Cal. My point in telling you this is that it's okay to be divorced. You're going to still raise successful children. It doesn't have to ruin them. What can hinder them, though, is the relationship that puts stress on the child and on the mother or the father. So I gave Mark, it wouldn't even say it was an ultimatum. There was no ultimatum. You have to move out. Okay. I can't do this. We can work. You and I can work. I love you. It was God, what, 10 years, 11 years at that point, or no, 10 or 10 years maybe. But and we didn't move in together for like 5 years. So there was a limited amount of time of living in the same house because
Well,
I kind of,
and probably thinking I'm doing it the right way the whole time.
yes, for sure. For sure. Right. And then you go, no, it doesn't matter.
Goes,
So
God,
yeah,
this is not what right. You waited 5 years.
This sucks because I am in love, because I have this great chemistry, a great sex. We are both on the same page about money. I am super happy, but this is ruining my life with my children, and I'm not doing this. And so I didn't give him an ultimatum. I just said, we can't live together anymore. It's the best thing for these kids. We can still be together. If you can't do this, I understand, but understand there's no options. It's not even, and he did, he moved out, and it was the best thing we ever did. For myself, my children, he enjoyed his daughters more. We are still a family unit. We enjoy each other. We enjoy the 5 kids enjoy each other. They're very close. And it was the best thing we ever did, but you got to make those tough decisions. And so I'm not saying it can't work, but you have to be willing to be flexible, willing to look at things in different situations, different ways, and willing to maybe not go the traditional route.
Oh, thank you.
So
thank you. You know, it's so inspiring because I just talked to so many people and they don't know the right way to proceed. And even if they do, they're like, I'm doing it the right way 6 months before they meet, and then this and then that. And so even if they do it the quote unquote right way, they need to be flexible and it has to be able to see it. I love what you just said. I want people to understand that it can work. You can come and date and find a great partner and still have your priorities to have been what they were, right? My priority was, to raise my children. That is the 2 decades that I'm in at this stage in life. And I don't need to cut myself off from love or romance or the kids seeing a good model, right? But I need to date in a way that I am the individual right now, and I don't, and find different ways to come together. And maybe that does say, let's just live separately for 7 years. And then at 7 years, you and I'll decide what it looks like. Or maybe there's a conversation, right? Earlier on that says, why don't we never meet the kids, right? Why don't we just spend the next 2 years, just having a love affair? We travel on our weeks on and we travel when our weeks off. One of the problems I see is that people are really looking to couple up, for what do you call it? Support. They actually are hopeful of the support because maybe they left a toxic relationship or.
Forget that. You are your support. You got divorced and it's okay. Okay, so forget that see, that's the problem. Jolene, you hit it right there. See, we look for others to fill our voids. We look for others to pick up our slack, to push us. When you get divorced, and I got divorced, I'm okay with it. My ex-husband is actually one of my best friends, okay? And it took a while, by the way, but you are not going to get the support that you think you are going to get by somebody that is not the parent of your child. If you want support for you and your children, as far as meaning for you, emotional support to help you raise the kids, be friends with your ex. Figure it out.
That's cool.
Figure it out. It's the best thing I ever did was figure that out, because, and by the way, nobody, Jolene, is going to enjoy your children's success as much as your ex-spouse does.
Yeah.
When my kids succeeded at things, Mark, sure, we share in it, but nobody, my ex-husband and I, are connected for the rest of our lives biologically by our children, who both of us love equally as much and are committed to them. And so when they thrive, when they excel, when they accomplish, he is the first one I call.
I love that.
100, and there's nothing wrong with that. Stop thinking that it has to be a certain way. It doesn't have to be a certain way, because that certain way fails time and time again. And I see it. And what you said about meeting the kids, stop introducing the kids to people unless you know it's them. That does more. How many clients do I have that say, oh, my mom brought home this guy, one after the other, one after the other, or my dad dated this woman, this woman, this woman, and all we did was keep meeting them, and then my dad or my mom has 4 different kids with 4 different men. I'm not judging. I'm saying, think about these things. They affect your children, and they move through their life with the children. What you said, traveling on the weeks you don't have the kids. Yes, Jolene, I embrace that. Go have fun.
Fun.
Have fun. Okay, now if you're on the thing of saying, okay, Heather, I don't want that, and you're thinking right now, Heather is whacked. Jolene, why is she even asking these questions like me? I want all of it. Guess what?
Right, I want it all.
I want it all. Nobody
or
gets it all.
Not to interrupt you, but I was thinking, it's not just the divorced, it's the men that wanted kids and never had it, the women that wanted kids and never had them, the people that lost their spouses and loved being a unit, right? It's the everything, it's the everyone, and it's tough. It's
okay. So wait, what
tough
you just said, you just said about the ones that never had kids, that is actually the highest chance of success.
Okay.
So the people that, oh God, I'm glad you said that. I would have forgotten. So the people that never had children, they are the best ones to connect with. Okay. Literally, because they don't have, okay. Part of the other problem is if you do get with somebody that is even slightly unhealthy, they're going to be jealous of your children. And when they get jealous of your relationship with your kids, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Okay. And I see that time and time again. But what you also said was, okay, so about having it all. Having it all is a myth. It's a fantasy. Nobody has it all the time. You can't, this is life. See, how does life work? Life works like this. There is no certainty in life. Why? Because everybody has what we call free will. We know what free will is. I have the power to make choices. You have the power to make choices. The minute you walk out your door, somebody that could decide, I'm going to drunk drive. I'm driving and I'm drunk today, or I'm going to drive and I'm going to text. Their choice affects you. They hit you, you die, you get whatever it is. People, you are affected by everybody's choices of everyone around you. So how can you have it all when nothing is actually in your control? You can't. Okay. So you can have it all. I have the perfect job. I have the perfect this. I have the perfect this. And then your spouse cheats on you. You no longer have it all. Oh, guess what? You lose your job. I no longer have it all. A pandemic hits. I no longer have it all. That's not reality. So having it all for you, for somebody that is divorced with children, means being realistic. That's what having it all is. So now I don't want to leave this where these people, your clients are going, oh, great. I'm not like, what the hell?
They're like,
so here's what you can do to possibly help know, is this something that I want to keep moving through with somebody? Sit down and have the hard conversation. Okay, so you have children, he or she has children, or one of you do. Sit down, ask the question, how do you parent? What are your expectations for children? At the ages of between kindergarten and to 3rd grade, however old your children are, what do you expect? If my child or your child did this, skip school, what do you believe the consequence punishment should be? Okay, if they did this, do you believe in children playing sports? Do you support sports? Will you go to the children's activities? Or will you just say, sorry, it's not my child, I'm going alone? Do you believe that they have to eat everything on their plate in order to get dessert? Do we have to eat dinner as a family? Are they allowed to have a phone? At what age? What age do you believe they should be allowed to go on social media? Jolene, I could give you 1,000 questions you should ask. Okay, now they turn 16. Do you believe they should have a car? What time do you believe the curfews are? Do you believe in a balanced meal, or is it okay if they eat McDonald's once in a while? Are you okay with this? Who do you think should do the dishes? What do you think chores are reasonable? On and on. And you literally have to figure that out.
Yeah.
If you don't figure it out, it's on you, because I guess what I'm trying to say is nothing should come as a surprise. Like, you need to know everything before you choose to move in with somebody.
have a
I
kid.
don't recommend it, but if you do, know everything there is. Think of every scenario that could come up and ask the
And
question.
discuss it. You know, and I think for clients right now that are coming to us and feeling like, God, these aren't things I even thought about. Like, what do I want? What do I really want? And start writing out that scenario. If the scenario is, um, I'm open to dating women with kids, but I am not interested in being a part of the family unit, you know, like she really is. You know, you want to be clear with that. You want to say, hey, you know, I'm in it for you and I for the long, and I will obviously, you know, love your children when I can, like whatever my role is, right? So I think the person needs to be really clear on how it could look. So when they're asked, you know, about, because no one's asking, right? They're going on dates and they're just going, oh, cool, you have kids, I have kids, that sounds great. Or, you know, oh, good, he doesn't have kids. That kind of works out better for me because I'm so busy. I don't have to share, right? So they're just kind of winging it. And instead of having the conversation, so what I'm hearing from you is just have the conversation. How do you really feel about family? What is your value system? And what does that look like in the future? And just do that within the first few months of getting to know someone, you know, even the first handful of dates with our clients. Everybody's pretty you know, good, big decision makers. So, you know, within 5 dates, you could have this conversation with someone and
What's
say,
the
let's get
one
down to it.
commodity, Jolene, you can't get back? There's only one thing you can't get back:
Time.
time. So what does that mean? Stop wasting it. Okay? I you know, we all have a story, but you know, my mother was killed when I was 3 years old in a car accident. She walked out the door to go to the grocery store. I was 3, my brother was 8 months older, my sister was 7, and drunk driver killed her on the way. On New Year's Eve at 1 p.m. in the afternoon, she was heading to the store. My best friend was killed in a car driving accident, and a ex-boyfriend was killed in a drunk driving car accident, plus numerous other things that happened to me. I was literally watched my father burning alive and stranded in the middle of the ocean, Atlantic Ocean, outside of a Bahamian island called Cat Cay at the age of 10 years old. 60% of his body was burned, and my siblings and I were left alone on an island for 3 days and thinking our dad was dead. My point in telling you is that I understand life like that is over. But life is so good. Now, what I had to teach myself was stop thinking the worst of everything, because it was ruining my life. Meaning, getting on an airplane way early was horrible for me. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna do this, or this is gonna happen. So I had to, while I live in reality, I had to stop thinking I'm that 1% chance. But you know what the problem is for other people? They don't think that they're going to be in that 1%. That stuff happens to other people, and it doesn't. I'm that other person. Okay. So what that says to me, and what I've learned, is stop wasting time. So if you can't have this discussion in the first 5 dates, move on.
Move on.
And here's why: because if you're already divorced, right, you are with your company and your group, and you are serious. Okay. You are servicing clients that are serious about dating, about making the right choice, about doing the right thing. And you know what that comes down to? And this is what I teach every one of my clients: honor yourself. Be assertive. What does assertive mean? I'm going to respect me, and I'm going to respect you. I'm going to honor who I am. I'm going to honor my needs. And in turn, that's going to honor your needs. How? Because if I ask you the question, Jolene, you and I are in a date, and I ask you about kids and how you feel, I'm honoring myself, and I'm honoring you. How? By asking you, giving you the chance to say, this is what I need. This is what I expect. I'm giving you the chance to honor yourself and your children. And I'm honoring myself and my children. And that is called win-win. Right? So
Absolutely.
you better do it. You got to do it. And that's that's the way I see it. And there was one other thing that you had said that I wanted to just say really quickly is that, you know, when you lose a spouse to death, right? You are a widow. It's so hard. And I know that. And I know what the emotional repercussions are. I saw what it did to my father. I've seen what it has done to many, many people. And I get really emotional with that. And so my heart goes out to those people that all of a sudden lose that person and they're left with those children. And I understand you more than you even know. And I know my eyes are getting teary. Because you do. When you said before, you want that emotional support, right? The support that says, I'm gonna help you through
I'm gonna
this.
go through this with you.
Oh, yeah,
This life is hard. Yeah.
this is right. And you don't have that ex that I said you could turn to. So what that means is you are even more vulnerable than you think. So you have to check your vulnerability even harder. You can't accept just anything. And I'm not saying that that person's going to do it, but you are in a more vulnerable spot. Okay. So you need to really get clear. And you said the most important thing. What do you want?
Yeah.
Make a list. I want this person to be, I don't even care if you say 6 foot, 5'10", whatever, with black hair, with blonde hair, but also I want them to be this. I want this. I know exactly what you want, and then you don't settle. Or what you do is you say, these are the things I want. These are the things I'm willing to go capitulate a little bit on, but not too far, because reality is, if it's going to bug you now, is if we're all divorced, right? Here, then it's going to really bug you in like a year. So yeah, so those are my thoughts on that.
I love it. And I think, my biggest takeaway from you is, and hopefully, a lot of the clients do this too, is if you are really present and engaging and you've decided, I want to have romance in my life, that it can look really wonderful.
Yes.
Don't make it harder on yourself. Just get clear on who you are, get clear on what you want, and then hopefully that energy will take care of itself almost, right? Like you will go on these dates and, the universe will just line you up with people that you are speaking a little bit of the same language, and it is easy to have the conversations and connect. You might ultimately choose that you guys do want different things, but you'll give yourself the time, the space, and treat everyone differently, right? Treat every person differently, really learn who they are so you can see, what, and it's just going to change. Yeah. I just so appreciate, your thoughts and your thoughtfulness, because you're right. Our clients are really serious and they do want to make the best decisions for
Yep.
themselves, for their children. They don't take it lightly, but they also really believe in, well, there's got to be a way to do it right. There's got to be a way to have a really happy, healthy, high functioning, loving unit, without the separation. And so that's, I think, where that rub is, right? Like, okay, well, what does that look like? And I think what you're saying is do the work, get to know who you are.
And get to know who you are and get to know who they are and be upfront.
And
the
we
reason
can't do that in 6 months.
No, and the reason we get upset about anything is because we have our own expectations of who somebody should be and how they should behave, right? But more than that, we have an attachment to that expectation. Well, have realistic expectations, and the only way you're going to get realistic expectations is to ask the questions.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you just so much for all of your input today. I really am glad that we opened up a conversation that's this important in the dating world. And I'm going to attach your website to
Perfect.
this interview, so that anyone, if you want a little more Heather in your life, you can tell from her personality that she gets stuff taken care of. So I encourage you to kind of go down that rabbit hole. And I know she has a lot of offerings. So just go to the website, poke around, see what resonates with you. But this is all really good work. And again, I just thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I truly appreciate it. And good luck to all of you out there. It can be amazing. It can. It can.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye.